physician.
There's an unwanted guest in thousands of homes. It's opioid addiction. Think it can't happen to your family? 20 to 30% of patients prescribed opioids for chronic pain will misuse them. And about 80% of people who use heroin began by first misusing prescription opioids. Drug overdose is the leading cause of accidental death in the U.S. Don't be afraid to talk about it, because help is available.
This Beasley Best Community of Caring message is brought to you by Talk 1470 and 95.3 FM WNN. Want to lower your rate and payments? Get rid of mortgage insurance or get cash out? Find out about your best refinance options by tuning into the Get Mortgage Fit radio show with Alex Michaels and Carrie Kasem. Thursday afternoons from 1 to 2, where you'll learn everything you need to know about mortgage loans, today's rates, FHA, VA, and more. Call the Get Mortgage Fit show Thursday afternoons from 1 to 2 on WNN at 800-827-RATE. 800-827-RATE or visit them online at newamericanfunding.com. NMLS 6606.
1470 AM and 95.3 FM. The Health and Wealth Radio Network. Wake up with the Steve Kane Show.
Just tell me what your problem is.
With replays overnight, every night. WNN. Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach. And 95.3 FM, W237BD Boca Raton. The Health and Wealth Radio Network.
A bad back, heartburn, low libido, stiff joints, not sleeping well, got allergies, need to lose weight? If you want to feel better, please tune into my Health Talk show, Sunday mornings at 10, the Dr. Bob Martin Show, on Talk 1470 WNN.
If you suffer from excruciating back pain, do not have surgery. Call Dr. Fernando Ranella, MD, and ask him about the new ozone therapy and how it can eliminate your back pain once and for all. End your suffering today. Call Dr. Fernando Ranella, the Center for Back Pain Management, 561-819-6325. That's 561-819-6325 or injectpainaway.com.
Talk here, talk there. Talk 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. The Health and Wealth Radio Network. WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to the Art Radio Network, live from the Heart of Delray Gallery. Join us every Tuesday at noon for a glimpse of the art, comedy, culture on the G Talk Radio with Lawrence Kurtel. Meet our artist up front, personal. Be part of the live studio audience. Are you ready to smile and feel inspired? Find your inner creativity to share with the world.
Yeah,
it's time to take a seat and have some laughs. Put down that paintbrush and call in with your artistic thoughts and ideas today at 888-LOL 1470.
Hi there, Lawrence Gartell. This is the very first, the numero uno, the one, the beginning, the Art Radio Network G Talk with me, the host, Lawrence Gartell. What we're going to do here is we're going to talk about all things cultural in different genres, different disciplines, the things that are really meaningful here in South Florida. Sometimes we have special guests flying in from all over the world, and we're very happy to embrace them as they do things here in South Florida. So if you don't know who Lawrence Gartell is, shame on you, because I've been pioneering digital art for over 40 years. And as a digital artist, digital media, here we are on the quintessential digital media network, Art Radio Network. And we're broadcasting over 95.3 FM, 1470 AM. And we hope that you can also follow us on Facebook on the Heart of Delray Gallery page. And we'll be sharing that as well. In any case, today is a very special day because it's number one. It's the beginning, and you know there's only one number one. Right, Andrew?
That's right.
That's right. So let me introduce the people that are here today. We have Laurent. Laurent, where are you from exactly?
I was born in Paris,
yes.
So technically I'm from France, but I've been in the US for 15 years now.
Incredible. Fantastic. And we have Sal Zagami with me. Sal, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm New York, Italy is my beginnings, and now have been in Fort Lauderdale studio since 1975 in the same location, and you're all welcome to visit my studio.
Very good, Sal. Thank you so much. Jeremy, you flew in just for us from San Francisco. Well, that's not really all that
Especially,
true.
of course, for you.
But I'm very happy to have you here. Jeremy and I go back almost 30 years. Maybe it is a full 30 years already.
It's just amazing that we were just 2 years old when we met.
Incredible. And Jeremy, so tell us why you're here, actually.
Well, actually, I'm here on a very exciting adventure of creativity that actually mixes media, just as you were talking about, the essence of this radio program.
Tell us.
So I'm here as part of the Birdland All-Stars Art of Jazz Tour, featuring Tommy Igoe, who's an amazing drummer, the leader of the band. And I'm there as a musician with color. So I'm a painter, and I'm on stage with a drop cloth, working in 3 media, digital, non-digital, iPad, canvas, and paper. It's really a pretty crazy thing.
Talk about multitasking.
Yeah,
My God.
it really is
multitasking. How do you do that? Do you have an extra hand or what? How does it work?
Yeah, well, it's a lot of dancing around, and you know I'm a dancer.
Yes.
This is actually one of the live iPad paintings done on the stage of the band as they play. And so basically I move a lot. It's like I'm working on the iPad, I go to throwing acrylic on the canvas, working with oil stick on the paper, wipe my fingers and try not to put too much paint on my iPad when I go back to the iPad. So I circulate through the media.
I'm lost already,
yeah. But what's interesting about your theme of creativity, though, is that the reason this is, for me, so special is that Tommy Igoe talks about creativity being dangerous and sort of on the edge, and he's always introducing new stuff to his band every single show, and he says that's what he loves about what I do. We're both on this edge of creating something in the moment that's dangerous and improvised and of the moment.
Well, it's really fantastic, but I have to especially thank you for going to Moise's Bakery in North Miami and bringing this absolutely fantastic. I can't wait. We've got forks. We're gonna like have a little taste of this. Thank you so much for bringing that. It's very kind of you.
Not a single calorie or ounce of fat in this.
You know what? Who cares, man? Life is about living, and that's what this show is about. Pushing the limits on your own creativity, your own enjoyment, being a pleasure seeker. Isn't that what art really is anyway? Yeah. I mean, it's a sad thing that people like Modigliani had to suffer so painfully. It doesn't really have to be that way. So, a little bit of bakery from Moise's is a good thing, I'd say. So thank you. And thanks to them for bringing such a nice gift. Thank you. On the end there, we have my dear friend, Andrew Martineau. Andrew, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much, Garcelle.
And, we're going to talk a little bit about your incredible fair and your vision of Art Fort Lauderdale. And, of course, Sal Zagami participated in that with his fantastic sculpture. We'll get a little bit more into Sal's work. But just your vision, Andrew, to create something that is so unique, so different. I'm going to let you talk about it. But my God, I have to tell you something. It is really groundbreaking, really groundbreaking. And the people that participated, both as viewers and as artists, got a tremendous amount of value out of it. So, Andrew, tell us about the art fair, Art Fort Lauderdale.
No, I certainly appreciate that. And, as you know, we've known each other for quite some time. So
yes.
I know you push the boundaries, and I try to push as well, trying to make some catch up. But I got quite a few years to get there. But
yes.
Certainly appreciate the encouragement and the support throughout the many years that we've known each other.
Thank you. One thing about you, you were cool then in your 20s, and now you're almost pushing 40, I think.
I'm past 40. But.
You're past 40? Yeah. Oh, my God, those years flew by. You were cool then, you're cool now. I just want to say.
Thank you. Yeah, so Art Fort Lauderdale is a 4-day art fair, pretty much hosted on the water. It's the only art fair on the water in the U.S. And, essentially people take water taxis to luxury waterfront homes where they can view and interact with art in a really different way. Most art fairs right now are predominantly, in a convention center under a tent. They're purely, in a large way, a transactional opportunity, not as much of an experiential opportunity. And the idea with this fair was to make the art fair more of an experiential art fair as opposed to just a purely transactional art fair.
I love that you came up with that word, transactional art fair. I've never heard that before. But boy, is that the truth. You either go in, you like what you see, and you buy it. I mean, it's just like that, where your fair is completely experiential, totally 100%. From the minute you get there and you actually, I want to say, smell the water.
Absolutely.
That's something that you don't get, I think maybe only in Target when they spray everything so you're out of it,
Well, I think a lot of things kind of move away from where it started. Art in its truth sense, is something that does stir emotions, and within a confined space, your emotions aren't that open to be explored. But when you go to a fair like this, when you don't necessarily know what's next or what the next stop is going to be or what the next place is going to be or what you're going to see, the emotion that itself creates for that attendee is a lot different than what you've been expecting or seeing most recently in fairs.
So guide us through the process. What is it? How does it happen? So a person gets to the dock where you're centrally located, and tell us then the process of exactly what happens and how it works.
Sure. The boarding location is the Bahia Mar Yachting Center, which is the home of the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. Tons of parking, only $5, not $25 like Miami. And
amazing right then and there. Why wouldn't you want to go for $5?
There you go. It really gives you an opportunity to really truly enjoy the experience. Attendees then go to the captain's quarters, where there were a series of talks that went on from the Wednesday through till the Sunday.
And those talks were what, Andrew, exactly?
From everything. We had Mr. Gami here talking about what is art. We had the Cultural Division have something about public arts. Gartel, you did a talk on Gartel versus Warhol, your amazing book and little tour in Italy.
Yes.
So we had a little taste of that at Art Fort Lauderdale, which we're really, really grateful for. And a number of different talks from a lot of the artists that are not just from the US here, but from Canada, from London, from Italy, and from France. And so attendees essentially wait for a talk, they stay for the talk, or they can then decide to go on the tour. And the tour essentially starts at Bahia Mar Yachting Center, and it goes from home to home. These homes range from about 5,000 square feet to about 10,000 square feet, and from about $2 million to about $8 million. And the homes are also for sale. So that's the other really interesting thing about this fair. The idea is to be able to not only attract, the usual art aficionados, but also to attract those individuals that might be in the market for purchasing a home. And if you can purchase a home for $2 million, I'm sure you can purchase an art piece for about 10, 20, 30, 40,
yes.
50,000.
What was really nice about it that to me opened up too is that you're seeing art in a real environment. Real for the upper crust, of course, but the idea that graphic design, interior design plays such a role in this fair that, again, when you say transactional, when you go to a regular normal fair with a tent, let's say, you're not, I would say like the VIP area, they rent out some chairs and couches, et cetera, and they make it sort of comfortable. You're actually going to a home. You're actually sitting on real couches and real stuff, and everything is available that you see. Visually, to see the kitchens that are in these places and the pools and all the decorative stuff that goes along with it actually contributes to the fair. And one would say, well, it's almost like an architectural digest on steroids, the way I view it.
Yeah.
Which is very cool to see. Let's say, typically in a magazine you would see, like Lux, for instance. They have pictures of Warhol hanging on a wall in some ad for their thing. Here you actually see the art in the real environment. That's very, very cool.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, they don't really know how to visualize what work would look like in their home. So you go to any of the art fairs right now and you're a buyer, a potential buyer. Maybe you're not necessarily a seasoned buyer, but you have somebody that does have the money to be able to purchase high quality works. It's hard for a lot of people, unless they're working with their interior designer, to be able to visualize what an art piece would look like in their living room, in their bedroom, or anywhere else in their home. So this fair kind of like takes that kind of intimidation away to some extent and kind of makes it a little bit more open and comfortable for that potential buyer.
Let me say something to you. So what about, talking about experiential, what about the notion about getting on the boat and being on the water and traveling to these very special places? What about that?
Well, I mean, I'm a big believer in water, and you know, through this whole process, I know, you know, with Salvatore, and we were getting the works in, and we were moving work from one place to another, and I'm a big believer in you know, being like water, and I had mentioned that to him a couple of times. And you know, water kind of like fits in a cup, and it's the shape of the cup, and you know, as Bruce Lee says, you know, it goes in a teapot, it's the shape of the teapot. So I kind of like go with the flow, and I'm a big believer in, you know, the power of water and what water does and what water can do. So from an artistic experience, to be able to be hosted on the water, that in itself is a journey of art. So, you know, I'm an artist that created this experiential fair, but the fair itself is kind of my art piece.
Well, now absolutely true, but now you just opened up a very interesting idea that just hit in my head, which is perhaps next year there could be a component of this show that is exclusively about water, artists working with water as a medium.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's why you made me the chairman of the advisory committee.
Absolutely.
I think. Just so this moment could trigger a concept like that after listening to you. I love the taxi. I love traveling. I love all of that sort of stuff. But the idea of a fair on the water, utilizing water as a form, is very good. You heard that right here on Art Radio Network. Let me tell you. That is absolutely fantastic.
You should look at the example of Amsterdam, because they have a winter festival where it's exactly that. They have artists for about 3 or 4 weeks who create artworks on the water, and people go on the canals and see all the artworks. So it might be a really good
absolutely
group to connect with, the people who organize.
All right, we're going to go back to that. We're going to turn to Laurent here. Laurent, you've been sitting here patiently. I know you're thinking about stuff. Your work is really masterful. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
You know, you were talking about something interesting about experience and doing things like this. So I think for me, the art world is shifting a little bit in the way that it's more about experiencing, you know, for something from the inside, and not necessarily trying to find the limit of what can be accepted as art. You know, so it's not necessarily about what's new, but what's deeper. So to me, it's more like an inner thing, trying to find myself. You know, it hits me about 3 years ago. I watched a documentary about Walt Disney on PBS, and I remember that when I was 2 or 3 years old, I wanted to be Walt Disney, and I was in France. So my parents looked at me and said, "Oh, the job is taken already." So. Yeah, I was pretty upset about it. So you know, it's a little bit like what you do. I mean, you take everything that is available, and instead of trying to closing door and trying to find a style, you do the opposite. You're opening doors. So you just never close anything that is not doable, because it should not be part of your space or your area of you know. So pretty much I open doors. I don't try to. If I want to do an abstract little thing in a painting one day, I do it. The next day I can do something figurative. The next day I can do some comics. So I'm just trying to, you know, I'm part of this generation where we had access to all those forms of arts, which are either primitive or really figurative, or you know, the rock and roll, the TV, and so on and so on. So instead of finding something and getting stick to it, I'm just trying to open all the doors I can.
Well, you know, what's really interesting about this is your concept, and it sort of goes with what Andrew has said and Jeremy at the same time. And we're creating new paradigms in art, aren't we? It's not the formal artist sitting in a studio, isolated from the rest of the world. The only thing he has is the stuff in his head, whereby today, it's so open to everything. And the idea that the information age gives you the opportunity to find out about new things, it's really incredible.
You know, we talked about it. There's a big thing right now in the United States about the malls. There's a lot of malls who are closing stores because people go online and buy stuff. So what do we do with all those empty spaces? And culture and art is really something that people want to experiment because they want to be close to that. They don't necessarily want to see the product, but they also want to see what's going on behind the conception and behind how do you make it. So we're basically opening a space in West Palm Beach right now, and it's going to be open on Friday evening. We have an opening at City Place, and that's what we want. We want to share with people. We want to have people to come. I'm going to paint live. I'm going to have my studio there. Yes. So I'm terrified because I'm going to have to sit in that thing and paint on 6 feet.
So tell us the location. Tell us, for the people listening to the Art Radio Network, let us know. Tell us where you're located.
So we're going to be at City Place. It's a former store. It's called Charming Charlie's, but we're taking over the store, and it's going to be 4,000 square feet, and we're going to work with 2 other artists. And yes, as I said, the goal is to have people coming like a little salon, trying to find a way to communicate with people and to also educate people about first what we want to do, but also about, generally speaking, they can ask us questions. Why do you do that? Why, etc., etc. So I think the social medias as well have opened this kind of thing where people want to connect with the artist. And we see, you are talking about the fairs, the formal fairs, and that's true, it's all about the transaction. People come, buy something, and they don't necessarily meet with the artist and so on. And sadly, quite often the crowd is so under pressure because there's so many people that sometimes the galleries don't have time to really talk about the artist and talk about what's the purpose of the artist and so on. So we get, as artists, we get a little bit disconnected in those fairs because first of all, it's like a big supermarket. I was talking to a friend and they had this fair in LA. There was 200 galleries. So even if you spent 1 minute in each gallery, you have to spend 3 hours, 30 minutes in the fair to look at everything. After 30 minutes, you cannot even focus anymore. So it's just a big, it's just like a big supermarket.
Well, times that by 28 different satellite fairs, you've got a lot of galleries and a lot of art.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, in order to love a piece of art, I think you have to love the artist as well.
Yes, of course.
You cannot just pick up a piece of work. I mean, that's the thing. If you want to decorate your house, okay, you find something that matches with the couch. I don't feel it's really like what we should do as collectors or art buyers or art lovers. No, we need to have that piece. And, simply, if you hang up a piece of work above your TV and you watch 24 or whatever show and then you forget the piece is above the TV, that means maybe the piece is not that powerful. So we need to connect with the artist and so on. So to to connect with the artwork and so on. So I think your concept about experiencing the art and bringing people outside this kind of fairs is absolutely amazing. And I think that should be, why not putting the thing out? Each time they sell a house, they connect with the local artist and they decorate the house with the artwork. That would be amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. So Sal, you were part of the Art Fort Lauderdale. You had a 50-year retrospective of your work, which was absolutely delightful. My favorite works of yours are your plastic sculptures that you did in the 70s. They still astound me. They're timeless, and I think that great art actually is timeless. That's how you know a great piece, because it stands the test of time. So tell us what your reaction was to showing your work in such an environment, because obviously this is a first. The Art Fair on the Water, for us Americans here, I know about Venice. I didn't know about Amsterdam. Jeremy, I'll have to look more into that. But tell us what you thought about your experience.
My experience was absolutely fantastic. They say imagination is the mind having fun. And I had nothing but fun throughout the whole fair. It was an adventure. The adventure was first getting on a boat, and there was an interaction of nature with architecture and with art, and that fun was just amazing. I mean, we got in a boat We adventured out to these $1 million mansions, and then we experienced this incredible high-quality art that was given to, and the public was able to come and have have their imagination just magnified by the experience, and it was just amazing. And plus, I'm extremely happy that I was able, Andrew and Lawrence Gartell featured my 50th year in the business of art, which I do not call the business of art. It is the soul of humanity, and it was absolutely magnificent for me to be able to have my art in such a fantastic venue.
Wow.
And I want to thank you for having me, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you, Sal. I'm sure Andrew says the same. You know, it's good to be recognized in your own time, let's say, you know, because afterwards, well, you know.
Thank you.
It
the
could be worse.
alternative is not good.
Yes. So to be acknowledged and enjoyed, and people for you to dialogue back and forth with in such a way. And that doesn't really happen in an art fair. Let's face it, in a usual art fair, people are usually, the artist isn't like standing there next to the work. The gallery represents them. And I think the experience, we keep going back to the Art Fort Lauderdale Fair, but there's so much. Jeremy, I want to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. So the idea about, like, you're drawing away here, because, you know, a man of your multi-talent has to keep moving on regardless, you know, always drawing. So what do you think of the notion about having art on monitors versus like an actual physical object? I mean, it's kind of a silly question, but what do you think about it?
No, it's been very interesting. It's been, first of all, it's been part of a journey I've been on for 25 plus years, ever since 1991, where I first did digital painting, and it's like, whoa, what an amazing thing. And then the interaction of creating art, which at first, its manifestation is luminescent imagery on some form of a display or monitor. It's been part of the experience. I've always really liked the physicality and texture of, you know, of a physical manifestation beyond the screen. So that's why I've always explored different ways to, you know, take something that I've done digitally and then print it, or, you know, do things. However, having said that, one of the magical things that's really interesting and distinct about, as we all know, working with digital media, is that, for instance, you know, as I'm working on the iPad with this band, they're projecting my painting as it develops behind the band. I can do the replay. It's got a time-lapse replay. So I share all this magic of process very easily and dramatically through using digital media. So there's definitely wonderful things about, you know, creating with pixels.
Yes.
But for me, it's another really important aspect is it doesn't replace paper and canvas. And I've not, you know, this hasn't made me leave behind getting my fingers dirty and getting into working with physical media. In fact, neither is replacing the other.
No, I'm just wondering if, like, it's so mesmerizing to watch a screen. I mean, people are on their phones. They don't put they go to the toilet and they bring their phone in.
Yeah.
Come on, let's face it. So what is it about this screen that is so mesmerizing in your estimation?
Well, that's an interesting question.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. No, well, it's obviously there's an element of the intimacy and immediacy of it. I mean, you have, you know, we all now live with these screens as an integral part of our day-to-day life, our waking moments. So there is something, you know, both addictive and seductive about, you know, having this data here, this visual story right in front of us. And so, and that is also part of what I love about working with digital media is it's very immediate, intimate, and flows in an amazing way.
Now, speaking about intimate, you know, people sort of have replaced their intimacy with the phone instead of sex. So that physicality sort of has sort of like dissipated. There we go. Any comments on that? Well, you're smiling and happy,
You know,
so that's kind of enough.
You know,
Yeah.
just to make a physical point, like a scientific point.
Yes.
When you print an image, you work with subtractive system.
Yeah.
When you look at a screen, you work with additive system.
Right.
So that means that if you print a Van Gogh, you lose about 50% of the color information regard to the original image.
Right.
So someone who looks at a Van Gogh in a book or Monet will lose 50% of the range of colors that is available on the painting. If you look at the same painting on TV screen, the rendering is pretty much close to 100%. So that's why also the reason why the screens are so beautiful, because the colors on screens are absolutely...
Now, I must disagree with you, because unfortunately, my cover of the Grammy Awards is so fantastic. The color is so seductive. The color is so amazing. So in this particular case, I have to say there's no loss of color and there's no loss of seduction. Happens to be. I understand that, you know, in the printed world, it dries down 10%. But look how fantastic that cover looks. Now, in order to defend yourself, Laurent, you'd have to say, well, why don't you go to the new Grammy Museum in New Jersey, where the original Grammy statue is, and take a look and see for yourself. So listen, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back. We're going to speak with Laurent, Sal Zagami, Jeremy Sutton, Andrew Martineau, and we're going to come back and talk to them a little bit more, okay? Thanks.
The Heart of Delray Gallery, located in the Delray Art Complex, is one of South Florida's top venues for art, culture, music, and private events. The Heart of Delray Gallery is a cutting-edge, 11,000 square foot art exhibition showcasing local artists and artisans with the highest quality of talent and vision, highlighting South Florida's creative arts. Visit us at the Heart of Delray Gallery, 1440 North Federal Highway in Delray Beach. Come, take a tour, book your next private event or fundraiser, or join us for Art Walk the first Friday of every month from 6 to 11 p.m. For more information, give us a call at 561-278-0074.
Hurry up and grab your grub. It's time to rejoin the Art Radio Network, sponsored by the Heart of Delray Gallery. For more information, call 561-ART-0074. That's 561-278-0074. Now, back to our show.
We're back, baby. We're back. And I have to say, I've had a very good run in January, starting out the new year. Of course, you know, I was on the cover of Boca magazine for their January issue. There's a nice little feature story in here. It only took them 23 years to realize that I was living in the neighborhood, you know, but slowly but surely we got there. And check it out for the February issue of Pompano magazine. On the cover is a self-portrait. Jeremy, are you going to draw me while we're here? I don't know. Maybe we
sketch
will.
away. Who knows?
So anyway, Pompano magazine covered February. That's 2 covers back to back. I'm looking for that trifecta. I'm wondering what magazine is going to step up to the plate for the March issue. We'll see. That would be really nice. That would be a trinity at this point, you know? So, any case, okay, so we're back here. We're talking about art, and Sal, let's get back to your sculptures for a minute. So you've been doing this for 50 years. What was your first sculpture?
Actually, my first sculpture was a portrait, and it was going to the Philippines, and I had to develop something that would be light and durable, and that was the beginning of my whole career.
How old were you, by the way?
At that time, I was 14 years old.
Oh, my God. Wow.
And that's the reason why I call it the beginning of my career, is because I actually got $300 for doing this portrait. But what it really did is it initiated chemical line imagery. What I did is I invented 5 different, actually what came out of this portrait.
At 14 years old?
At 14, I began and developed my first type of plastic that was able to be very durable and withstand the shipping to the Philippines. And I developed chemical line imagery.
Now, I got to tell you, I was using different chemical line imagery at that time myself. And it sort of shows in my work, kind of, you know? And, you know, that kind of stuff remained in my spinal tap till this day, by the way. Anyway, I don't mean to interrupt you, but, you know, chemical lines, and it just sort of brought the two together, you know?
Well, actually, the chemical line imagery is creating images without pens or brushes, and you create images through chemical reaction, which is still a new concept in the world today. And that was the outcome of this experience that I had at 14 years, and actually was the beginning of my career, which I got to celebrate with...
Do me a favor, talk into the mic a little bit so everyone can...
Yes, so actually that was the beginning of a 15-year endeavor with chemical reactions and imagery and new images to the world that were really unfamiliar at the time. It was beginning in 1968, and I continued on through like 1980 with the chemical line imagery, which now have sort of left the chemical line imagery and have gone into messaging and conceptualization and dealing with social commentary and different aspects of the way we see the world today. And
you sound like a freaking genius. I got to tell you, this is like, you know, chemical line to conceptual. I mean,
well, I don't know about the word genius, but I definitely was involved in I was merging science with emotion, science and emotion coming together into one expression.
Listen, can we do a little course on this? Can you give a little demo at some point? Could we invite you back at another time, maybe, to see what you're talking about?
I would love to. Maybe it would possibly have to be at the studio, because there maybe we could have it at the studio.
We're not afraid to travel. It's just, you know, we're
the studio.
You
wouldn't want to bring the toxic nature of the creativity of my work into the radio station, but the radio station would be most welcome. If you're most welcome to come to my studio at any time.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Listen, while we're on the subject of studios and everything else, we need visuals. And so could you tell us your website, please?
Yes. My website is ZagamiFineArt.com, and you actually can see the different periods of time and the different images that I have been involved with over 50 years.
What's it called?
ZagamiFineArt.com.
Zagami, and you spell it Z. Go ahead.
ZAGAMI FineArt.com.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for...
No, thank you. So, Jeremy, can you give us your website as well? We might as well get this in now so that people could look and enjoy.
It's jeremysutton.com. So just my name, JeremySutton. And for those of you listening in the locality here,
yes.
It would be wonderful to see you at one of our 2 shows that we're doing this coming weekend. On Saturday night, February the 10th, we're going to be at the Broward Performing Arts Center in Fort Lauderdale, starting showtime at 8 p.m. And then the following
night... And tickets are how much?
I'm not sure.
Wait, no, you're the artist. How would you know how much the tickets are?
And then the following night, we're going to be at South Miami-Dade Cultural Center in Cutler Bay. So 2 opportunities to come and see us. And if you do, I bring my art out into the lobby afterwards. So do come and say hi. And it'll be a pleasure to meet you in person.
What a fabulous concept, Jeremy. You're always dancing to a new star, I have to say. That's
fantastic. It's
fantastic.
really fun, and this is a part of a 28-city tour, so it's total coincidence. I mean,
what?
Yeah, we going up and down the East Coast from Chicago
My
to
God,
Miami.
you and Britney Spears just running all over the place. That's
on a rock and roll
unbelievable.
bus, so it's my first experience actually touring with a rock and roll bus, but it's fun.
Oh
it's a
my
great
God,
group of
you're
people.
just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Andrew, can we have the website of Art Fort Lauderdale?
Sure, it's www.artftlauderdale.com.
artfortlauderdale.com. Is there any pictures of me on there, by the way? If you have to think about
Yeah.
it, that's terrible. Come on, it should be up front
you're
and
right.
forward.
There is a picture of you there in the advisory board.
Could we get something a little more informal, like me, like dancing at the W Hotel? You threw such fabulous parties. Bonnet House. I mean, these were amazing, additions to the fair.
I forgot about the parties.
I didn't forget about any of it. I don't want to say it was the best part. I think it was all inclusive. All inclusive.
Yeah, I mean,
fantastic.
we did want people to have an entire experience, especially people that were traveling from out of town. So we really wanted to have a place for the artists to be able to hang out with each other after the event, for people to be able to come and interact with the artists even after the event as well.
Yes, it was great. Really, it was great. Great.
There you go.
He should. His parties are absolutely fantastic. Laurent, you're invited next year. Can you give us your website, please?
So my website is laurentdereau.com, so Laurent, and my last name Dareau. And I know it's complicated.
Say that one more time.
So it's Laurent, Laurent. You know that name, right?
Yes, Laurent.
And the last name is Dareau. D like David.
Very good. Very good. What if someone went to your website? What they might expect to see?
My work, so pretty much, I try to, I think we all try to do that, which is the difficult part on the website is that people come and they look at images and they don't necessarily see the work in real and so on. So, you just try to give a glimpse of what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. So have you been to my website lately?
Yes. No,
that's a
true.
very good answer this guy gave. Isn't that fantastic? Gartelart.com, Gartel, art.com. Or as my mother would have said, G is in gorgeous, like yourself, A, R, T is in terrific, E is in electrifying, L is in lover. And that used to shock everybody whenever they asked her to spell her name. Could you imagine a woman in the 70s, a mom saying, lover, electrifying, T is in terrific. You see where I get it from, obviously. It's incredible. So I had a really nice upbringing with some very out there parents and cousins and aunts and uncles, and I need to write a book. Actually, we do have Warhol versus Gartel Hip Hop that we are going to release. I've been selling this book to my VIP cool friends only, and I haven't really made it available to the outside world yet. I'm kind of holding back, actually. I'm kind of holding back because, I think art is for the deserving, not so much for the general public, because most museums, they want people to come in, but at the same time, art is a very intimate experience, I feel, and especially having a very special book. It's almost like you have to know the person in order to appreciate the story that they're trying to tell. That's what this book does anyway.
This book is fantastic. If I may interrupt you, Mr. Gartel.
Please do.
Because this book is fabulous, and I happen to be one of the very first collectors of this book.
Yes.
And I was part of the inner circle, and I happen to be honored to be part of that.
Thank you so much.
And I want you to know that you should all have a copy of this book, any of the fans of Laurent Gartel, because he's awesome. And as he will tell you, I'm probably one of his biggest fans. I have had commissioned him to do my motorcycle. And he actually designed my bow tie and designed my shoes
to match the motorcycle.
To match my motorcycle, and I have his book. And I can only tell you that I think that you all should have a copy of his book, and maybe you should have him design your car, because you will be amazed and become a celebrity when you drive down the street.
Thank you so much for that. We're all going to take pictures with the car after. This is what we're going to start doing after every show.
Wonderful.
To have the guests come and take a picture. But I really appreciate you being a collector, Sal, as well as an artist. You, aside from me, being a very big fan of mine, you have the eye to collect some very unusual, esoteric works, which hopefully we'll be able to put into a book someday in the near future, Because you know, your background, I mean, you've taught thousands of people in Broward County School, and you have also put your very own money where your mouth is and purchased art from other artists. Now, there are very few artists that actually do that, and you're a very special person because of it, I have to say.
Thank you very much. And I can only tell you, and I would like to tell the art community, that the artists are extremely special to me, and I have an addiction to the collecting of their souls, and I will continue to collect their souls and have them in my living room with me and spend my life with me.
My God, what a person we have here
Soul
next
collector.
to us. A soul collector. Sal, that's so deep and meaningful. And, you know, I'm really honored for you to be here next to me.
I'm honored to be here,
on the
and
Arts
especially on
Radio
Art
Network.
Radio Network,
Yes.
which is an amazing concept, and I can't believe it. I'm extremely honored to be one of the first guests with Gartel and my other new friends.
Yes.
And it is a first, and I hope it continues to have tremendous success, because it's about time that the arts replace, well, please, athletes, don't get mad at me, but you have, it's time to have the arts and emotional intelligence and a humanistic expression take the airwaves and share them with you. Thank you very much.
No, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much for that, Sal. Really appreciate that. We didn't ask for any questions from the studio audience. Yes, that lady over there. Question?
Question? No, next.
Make one up. Yes, I was born in New York City. Thank you for asking. I was born in New York City at Flower Fifth Avenue Hospital, and I went to the Pell School of Art at the age of 9, where I went there for many years to create a portfolio. And then from there, I actually went to the High School of Music and Art, the Fame High School. They made a movie about it. Have you seen it? Yes, you have. What a great film about the School of Visual, the High School of Music and Art, the Fame High School. What an experience. I had to make sure to get on the 8:20 train. Otherwise, if I didn't, I would have gotten jumped in the park that you had to walk up this giant hill. It was really kind of a dangerous neighborhood at the time. Now they're probably selling condos and brownstones for millions of dollars. It's absolutely in the perfect location, 135th Street and Convent Avenue near CCNY. And then I went to the School of Visual Arts for 4 years. I'm not quite sure what I learned, but I had a great, great time. And then I went to C.W. Post College for my master's degree in photography. And the reason I went there, I don't know if you ever knew this, but they had a fantastic lawn. And the horses were out early, and it was so beautiful. They had the best concerts. I saw Elvis Costello there for the very first time. It was absolutely incredible. They had such a lineup of concerts at this school. It was amazing. That's why I went. Yes, sir.
Yes, hi, my name is Dan, and my question is, did the artists remember their very first piece of work?
Good question. Let's start with Andrew.
I do. Man, I remember my first piece of work was actually drawing Disney characters that were on my bed sheet.
No kidding.
And I was probably about 5 years old, you know, after I'd gone to Disney for the first time. I mean, coming from Trinidad and then coming over here and spending some time at Disney. So very much like my friend over here. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily had the ambition to be Walt Disney. Maybe I wanted to be like Walt Disney or have my own Disney World or an Andrew
Well, you're
World.
doing that now.
But
you're doing that now.
You know,
that's good.
You know, definitely. You know, a lot of the inspiration started there.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you,
And
Jeremy.
Actually, it's so funny hearing this story because my first art that I have recollection of, and I have some photographic evidence, was also when I was about 3 or 4. My mum and dad, and I'm from London originally, lived in the Netherlands, moved to America 30 years ago. my mum and dad said, well, you can draw all over your bedroom wall, but just don't draw on the rest of the walls. And years later, and, you know, I was 3 or 4, I had, you know, my parents redecorated, I saw the drawings I did when I was 3 or 4, and funnily enough, I was drawing Batman, and it just shows what kids, you know, what the imagination is. So that was probably one of my first drawings.
And how much media plays on the psyche of a young child as well.
Absolutely.
Sal?
And I'm back to mentioning my very first professional piece of art, which was a portrait that was sent to the Philippines, and that is, I don't want to repeat again. So
Yeah.
we already said that, Laurent, you're on.
You're on, baby.
I don't
Go ahead.
recall.
You don't recall. Well, then you must have had a very good teenage...
No, but as I say, you know, when I was a child, I was drawing all the time and so on. So at a young age, I was already, you know, drawing on, you know, I spent my whole school time drawing on all my books and so on. So, you know, the thing about being Walt Disney, and that's what you're doing as well with that fair that you're putting together, the concept of being Walt Disney is actually giving people a chance, I mean, to try to share your dreams and to create for them a dream world. So it's why that documentary gave me the opportunity of understanding what I meant by being Walt Disney. Because, by the way, Walt Disney stopped drawing really quickly, and then he was hiring people to make the movies. So the vision of Disney was more about giving people dreams than to be an artist as it is. So I think, you know, that's what is interesting. The same thing when you draw with a concert, it's also about the same kind of interaction. Is bringing something more than just the experience of music.
It's really experiential and adding a dimension beyond the music.
Yeah,
and that's the legacy of, I think, you know, people like Walt Disney. You know, a lot of businesses, as you mentioned, like, you know, shopping centers and all that stuff, you know, kind of, you know, became this transactional place.
Yeah.
And Disney has certainly kind of lasted as long as it has because of that experience. I mean,
Yeah.
they're really the masters of experiences.
They want their haunted houses so people can come and spend more time at the mall.
Sure.
But
Well,
that's the future.
Disney was an Imagineer.
Yeah.
And he developed a team of Imagineers and dreams, and I hope we all can dream our dreams awake.
But you know, that's the other thing which is interesting, is that we saw the art world becoming more and more about one artist, you know, while before that, about, you know, a century ago, the artists were working all together, like Picasso at the Bateau Lavoir and so on. So I think what's interesting is today we see artists needed to get together again and creating again together, like what you're doing with the band. There's this band in France, it's called Chaka Ponk, and they have a giant screen behind them, and they have a virtual drummer. It's a gorilla, and he drums with the band. It's amazing, because all that interaction with all the medias, it's just absolutely fantastic to me.
Well, how about this show? Getting everyone together and talking and dialoguing and so on. You know, I think that's the uniqueness of the Arts Radio Network here in G-Talk, is that we're able to bring people together and have a dialogue and share these concepts. And, you know, just getting this idea, Andrew, about using water as a medium as a special extra bonus to the show, I think, I don't think I would have came up with that idea if we didn't talk.
And actually, well, first of all, congratulations on your first show.
Thank
Very
you.
honored
Well,
to
thank
be
you for
here.
being here.
But talking of the isolation versus the community, it's very interesting talking about screens, because screens are both isolating and communicative. And this whole thing of actually doing things together, collaboratively, in person, with people, artistically, is so powerful. And where screens are part of that, it's wonderful. But I think that the physical collaboration and in-person art making and experiencing is so vital. And I think that, you know, really never go away with screens.
Well, I hope people come to your show, Jeremy. Can you tell us again where it's going to be?
Yeah, it's going to be on Saturday night at the Broward Performing Arts Center in Fort Lauderdale, and that's an 8 p.m. show. It's 90 minutes, non-stop. And then on the following day, Sunday, which is February the 11th, it'll be at the South Miami-Dade Cultural Center in Cutler Bay, and that's a 7:30 show.
Excellent. And Laurent, let's go to you with opening of your new studio. Can you tell us again?
So it's going to be on Friday evening from 6 to whatever, you know,
Date?
we'll see. And it's going to be
February 9th?
This coming Friday.
Is it February 9th?
Yes.
Yes, I think
February
It is
so. I'm worried
February.
about who's number. and so we're just going to open the space, and people can come, and we're just going to present the space, and so. But the goal is to open pretty much 6 days or 5 days a week, and people come and see us working, can ask questions, and we can share with them our passion and so on.
Well, let me share with you, we're going to have a big party here, a release launch party for the radio network here on Thursday, February 8th from 6 to 10 p.m. So please come. It's going to be hosted by Code Rum, and I got to tell you something. This is the best rum I ever had. Right here at the heart of Delray Gallery, right here, 1440 North Federal Highway in Delray Beach. Let me give you that address again. 1440 North Federal Highway in Delray Beach. That's where we are right now. So we're going to open this place up to a really great party with Code Rum. And again, this rum is like the best. There's going to be a band. There's going to be, who?
Tailored Soul.
Tailored Soul. Taylor Dane would have
is
been
there
good.
going to be
but
dancing?
Tailored Soul.
I'm a dance fanatic. And
Please
like,
come.
Yeah, Peggy's going to be here. So we
Please
can do
bring
some
Peggy
radio.
and yourself, and if you feel like bringing more, no, we'll have plenty of that. No reason to bring that bakery from Moises. Thank you for bringing that. That was absolutely delicious. And we're happy. Sal, anything going on other than you're coming on Thursday night? Are you coming solo? You're bringing someone? What's the...
No, I'll definitely come, and I just wanted to, I am very excited to come because of being involved with Art Radio Network, and
Yes.
and G-Talk is definitely at the top of my list because this is a wonderful, wonderful endeavor, and I am so honored to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Sal, Laurent. First show, number one, numero uno. This was it. We had it. It was fantastic to have you guys. Thank you so much. Lawrence Gartell, G-Talk, and you'll hear it at 95.3 FM, 1470 AM. Look for it. Look for it on Facebook as well. Thank you so much. Heart of Delray Gallery, we love you. God bless.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Art Radio Network, live from the heart of Delray Gallery with G-Talk Radio, Lawrence Gertel. Take some time to enjoy the beauty and art within your community. And don't forget to visit us at the heart of Delray Gallery at 1440 North Federal Highway in Delray Beach. Be inspired. We'll see you next week.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Whether I'm training for a marathon, kickboxing, or lifting, I train to add muscle and build my inner strength.
WNN.
The following message is brought to you by the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
There are over 11,000 licensed barbers in the state of Florida.
And over 105,000 licensed cosmetologists.
Being licensed means we've been trained, tested, and certified by the state to ensure your safety.
Verify the licenses of the barbers and cosmetologists you